current lipedema symptoms include all over body pain and swelling, and also the abnormal fat deposits throughout my body, which I have in my legs from ankle up to waist, and also my abdomen and my arms. I had surgery over the last 2 or 3 years, and prior to that my legs were incredibly heavy. My skin was very cold to the touch. I found it really hard to get my shoes and socks on in the morning, and I used to have to lift up my feet with my hands in order to be able to get my shoes and socks on.
It's mainly, I can't have my kids sitting on my lap for reading a book. That's just simply too painful. So the main symptom is probably being tender to touch, for sure. Yeah.
So I've got swelling on my lower part of my leg, so I don't really have ankles, which sucks.
My symptoms include bigger legs and unusual looking legs, and a bigger abdomen as well. I bruise very easily, which is very common. I also have some knee problems associated with the fat on my legs. And I am also hypermobile, which is quite common for women or people with lipedema.
When the pain really started to develop in stage 3, it became a bit like having barbed wire pressing around your legs all the time. They were uncomfortable to touch each other, they were uncomfortable to walk with and heavy. It was a real effort to walk. It was uncomfortable to sit or to lay down, and it was just constant pain.
Symptoms really started for me in my early teenage years, when the lower half of my body started to grow in size. I'd always been very slim, but suddenly my lower half was a size larger, and that kept increasing. At one point I think I put on 30 kilos in 3 months. Since surgery though, those symptoms have really alleviated.
I first noticed my symptoms in my late teens. I grew up in a hot environment up in the tropics of northwestern Australia, spent a lot of time in shorts, and could see quite clearly that my legs were quite different to everyone else's. As I grew older, the weight that I carried on my thighs particularly was not like anyone else.
Funnily enough, it wasn't me who first discovered my symptoms. It was a friend of mine, and she said to me, "Oh, your wrists, are your wrists swollen?" And I sort of said, "No, that's just the way my wrists look," and not knowing about lipedema at the time and about the wrist cuffs and the ankle cuffs. So
Usually lipedema occurs or becomes apparent during times of hormonal changes for women, and for me that was at puberty. So when I was about 12, I started to realise that my legs were a bit different to other people's.
My symptoms were brought on when I was put on the pill at a young age. I didn't notice that things were really bad until after I'd had my children, and the pain in my legs just become really excruciating.
For me, I manage it by compression. Obviously, as I said, I did have surgery, but I keep as active as I can, and I've made some lifestyle changes, like some dietary changes, and following, a low carb diet, for years I did a lot of water exercise, and I found that really successful.
An anti-inflammatory way of eating, which is basically a Mediterranean style diet with reduced carbs and no sugar wherever possible. I'm pretty vigilant with this. I try and eat lots of anti-inflammatory foods like turmeric, which I have in my eggs every morning, lots of leafy greens, and I use natural sugar substitutes to do any baking for sweet treats, and also flours like coconut flour and almond meal when I'm cooking.
So one of the things I really like doing for my lipedema is Lipedema water, any kind of water, but I particularly come to the pool. I used to swim, I don't swim so much anymore, I'm a little bit kinder to my body, but I love the water running. I love it for the exercise factor, but also the compression of the water is really helpful as well. So when I say any kind of water, sometimes just jumping in the hydro pool and walking around is really good. Also baths, getting in the hot tub at home is good. But yeah, really just immersing my body in water is so super helpful. I also find wearing my compressions is really good. Eating generally anti-inflammatory is good, so staying away from some of those triggers like refined sugars and refined carbs. And also seeing my manual lymphatic drainage specialist, not just for the lymphatic drainage factor, but also she does a bit of laser on my knees, which really helps with the osteoarthritic pain that I get in my legs.
I manage my lipedema by wearing compression daily. I also use a compression pump to help reduce the fluid in my legs, and I do hydrotherapy at the local pool.
Other than surgery, I manage my symptoms through manual lymphatic drainage massage, a compression suit, I have a vibration plate, I have a vegetarian diet, and I'm going to begin rebound trampolining soon in hope that that increases the relief from my symptoms too.